Hi everyone, I'm going to be doing a 12 by 24 layout today, and I'm doing it for the Glue It Down and Use It Up challenge, which is a challenge to a mining site to use your stash to get layouts done. And the challenge this week was to combine old and new stash. So the old stash is this paper that I'm using, which is the Pink Paislee Spring Fling collection, which I think is, I don't know, something like 3 or 4 years old at this point. And I printed a bunch of photos from a christening in strips, and I'm going to be gluing them down to this polka dot background paper from the Spring Fling collection, and then I'm going to decorate that as well. So just getting all the strips down, and this enables me to get 10 photos on this layout, and it's a christening, so there's tons of different things happening and cute baby photos and all that jazz. So now I'm going to take a piece of this basic gray distressed background paper from the Lily Kate collection, so it's also quite an old one, and I'm going to just punch little scalloped edges, and I'm going to frame the strips with the scalloped borders, or frame the photo strips. And that's just, there's just a little more white than I wanted, and I wanted to add just a little extra something, so I'm just going to add this little scalloped border on either side of the photos on these little background pages. I'm just using a couple glue dots here and there to add this, and I'll just, trim off the excess and get that done. And so see here, you can see me putting the last one down. And you can see the cute baby there at the top of the screen. Once again, just going to trim it, and then I'm going to glue down my photo strips. And then I'll get started on my final focus picture, which I printed 5 by 7. And these photos are kind of, they're not quite 3 by 4, and they're not quite 2 by 3. They're kind of in between. So I'm just moving them around up and down and trying to figure out exactly where I want them and how I want to place them on the page, especially so I can get my last 5 by 7 photo in there. So I think I've definitely figured it out. So I've put the 5 by 7 on this red bird paper, also from the Pink Paislee Spring Fling collection. And I'm just going to add a piece of this Scenic Route notebook paper so I can do journaling. And those will be matted together basically on this red paper. So I'm just going to mark with a pencil where I need to cut this grid paper, or this notebook paper rather, in order to have it be fit on the red paper. I'm just going to take it to the trimmer and trim it down. And then I'm going to round the corner, and it ended up not mattering that I rounded the corner because I ended up covering up that corner. But I just didn't want it so harsh, so stark, so I wanted to soften that edge, and that's why I rounded the corner. But then I ended up softening the edge even more with the embellishments that I chose for the page. So it didn't really matter that I had rounded the corner. But if I was going to leave this more simple and had not added the embellishments, it would have really helped it to have that corner rounded and helped soften it up and kind of led the eye in to that mat. So now that they're both on the mat, I'm going to go ahead and glue the mat down to the page. And just use my ATG. And this is a pretty simple layout. I mean, I didn't do too much to it because I just wanted to have all the photos. And it's for christening, so I just wanted to show a lot of the background flower paper to give it a feeling of new life and rebirth and springtime. So, alright, so now I'm adhering that down, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of zoom in on the one side of it where I'm going to add some of the embellishments. I'm going to add my title first, which is Christen, and I used the Quick Cut Stardust font, which I really like, and some Doodlebug flocked paper, and then I just ran the letters through my Xyron Xbox, or I guess it's the 150, and now I'm just going to put down my title. And one thing I like about the Stardust font is that the letters lend themselves very well to being sort of layered on each other, so they look like a continuous title. I think it just adds a finished look to the pages. Just have them sort of, I don't know, welded together like that. And then once they're all down, I'm actually going to take the Xyron backing sheet and just wad it up and kind of go over any areas where there's a little extra adhesive hanging around. And then once I've cleaned that all up, I'm going to go over the whole title with my brayer to make sure it's stuck down really well. So just going over it with the brayer to make sure it's adhered. And now I'm moving on with the challenge. And like I said, the challenge was to use Old Stash and New Stash. And the papers all came from Old Stash, as did those die cuts. I mean, those are one of the first sets of die cuts I ever purchased. So, but now I have a new pack of Primas, or new to me. It's recently purchased. And I'm just going to use this pack of Primas to decorate this page. So I'm just kind of laying them out and trying to figure out where I want them, and I see it there, and that's when I start to realize that I do want to just frame in the whole journaling and everything. And so I'm going to put them down in that corner, and I'm just going to adhere them with glue dots. So I'm just using the red glue dots, which are the craft glue dots, and they're the thicker, wider ones, to adhere to the flower, all of the flowers down to the page except for the largest of the flowers, which I want to be sort of layered slightly above the others. So I'll actually use the glue dot pop dots for those. So now I'm just gluing down the one flower, and this is the flower that I want to be a little bit higher because I wanted it to be kind of over the other flowers. So I'm using the glue dot pop-ups, which are kind of like pop dots, only they have the strength of glue dots. So I'm just going to stick those down there, and then I'm going to add the memory book glue dots to the back of this last flower and add it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Prima velvet leaves, which are also a relatively new purchase, and I'm going to pull out more of the green from the pattern papers and tie in with the border strips that I cut, and fill in some of the gaps where the flowers are. Just give it more height and movement and accentuate the curve of it. And these are the seasonals, the Prima seasonals, I think they're called. And I don't know if they're spring or what, but it's all different shades of green. I really, really like these velvet leaves. I actually prefer velvet leaves to paper leaves almost all of the time. I love the Seven Gypsies velvet leaves, and now I'm starting to like the Prima velvet leaves as well. So you can see how I'm just playing around trying to say, is this leaf better? You know, what do I like? And then this is pretty much what I want, so I just went ahead and stuck them all down with the glue dot. And now I'm going to add some bling, and I chose white pearls and silver bling because I wanted to have a like splashing effect, you know, like a water spouts, you know, because it's a, again, it's a baptism, it's a christening. So I chose bling that could have that effect of like splashing water splashing up. And so now I'm just adding bling here and there and trying to add more height and movement. And this one I'm putting across the seam in the between the two pages. You'll see I'll just lay it right down between the two. I do this a lot. I'll put elements that go across the gutter, jumping the gutter it's called. And I'll just I just go back through with a craft knife or my scissors and I just cut down the center so it's half on one page and half on the other. And that will really unify the two pages when they're in an album together. So I'm just adding my last couple pieces of bling. So actually, in terms of gluing it down and using it up, I actually did finish 3 packages of Prima off because I finished off those flowers and then I used the last bits of 2 packages of bling. So I got it done. So here is the finished layout. This is just a photo of it. You can see it there with the journaling and see how the 2 pages look next to each other.